I used to be a little angry with my parents for not raising my brother and I to be a little more petty than we are. And I used to think that this world deserved people to be a little cruel because it's hard to navigate with a true heart. But now, when I think back to it, I think I was the furthest from the truth. I couldn't be more appreciative of the way that my parents brought us up, and it really made me think about what it is that made me want to complain about it in the first place. And it's the fact that we never can know what's in someone's heart. And that brings me to today's video, which is, how do you know that? How do you know someone has a good heart? How do you know you have a good heart? And I think there are smaller things that aren't that obvious, that make you understand whether or not someone has a good heart. And it's not just smiling at a stranger or petting someone's dog or getting someone coffee, although those are nice things, and nice people with good hearts could do those things as well. But there are other things as well that I think are worth noting. For example, if you're angry with someone, you can be angry with them, but not also want their entire life to fall apart. You can do something kind without wanting to be noticed. But I also think a big part about having a good heart is your intentions. And when I say intentions, it's knowing why you're doing something, knowing if what you do is true to your character, but also knowing how much of what you think, what you say, and what you speak, how much of it is yours and how much of it is someone else's. And as a person of faith, I am told and I am meant to live a life where I assume that every other person besides me is the best. They have, they have better deeds than I do. They've done more good. When you lead a life thinking you could do better, people are better than I am, you strive to, one, have that goodness in your heart, and two, have an intention, a good intention with what you're doing. And when I say that, I mean that when you do something out of the goodness of your heart, you're not expecting anything in return, and expecting that other people are better than you are when it comes to doing something nice, it just helps you keep yourself in check. Now, because of my faith, there is an internal mantra that I always think of when it comes to this internal battle that I have of, I didn't deserve to be treated the way I was treated, or, this situation left me in XYZ. I always tell myself now that if I've wronged someone or if I've intentionally broken someone's heart, may the universe or God treat me with the same fairness that I've shown to other people. That in itself brings me a lot of peace because it is very easy to justify your cruelty when you've been hurt. It's very easy to think, if someone's actions don't align with your thinking, that they deserve every bad thing that's coming their way, or that if someone has hurt you first, that it's justified for you to hurt them in any possible way that you can. But do you hear how miserable that sounds? And do you hear how miserable that makes you sound if you justify every bad action that follows you being hurt? It makes you not only sound like this monster because you have no self-control over your emotions, but it turns you into the villain. It turns someone that was a victim once into the villain of a situation. And I want to make a note that there is a fine line between doing something good because it is good and then doing it because it makes you feel good and it makes you look good. And an example that I keep thinking of is, would you feed someone that has no food because they have no food and they're hungry, or would you feed them because it's gonna make you feel better later? It's gonna please God if you believe in that. It's gonna please the universe, and if you feed someone today, it'll come back to you. Those are very two different ways of thinking about it. One of them is detached from the fruit of the action. The other one is very much you are trying to please this power so that any good that you're pouring into the world will come back. And you can hear the selfishness in the latter. Maybe the second feeling isn't fully wrong. It does feel good when you treat someone right. It does feel nice, and you can be happy that you showed up for someone, or happy that you did the right thing. But it really depends on intentions. Once again, doing something good for someone, having a good heart in a situation really comes down to how attached are you to the outcome of this? How attached are you to what this will translate like for you in, the karmic world? If for example, it doesn't make it meaningless if you want to feel good about what you've done. That's the common thing. You eat your favorite food because it makes you feel good. You say hi to people around you because you love to see them smile. You give your parents a big hug because, one, it makes you feel good and makes them feel good, which makes you feel good again. But sometimes you doing good isn't completely selfless, but are you able to notice when that good deed turns into something that's feeding your ego? Are you putting someone on the right path because you want to see them succeed, or are you putting them on the right path because you want to later feel like the leader? You later want to feel like you were the one that brought them onto this path. You want this person that you're helping to go around telling other people that you were the one that helped them, and you want to feel good about it. There are very distinct ways to think about this. One of the biggest things, like I said, is, are you able to stay humble in the process of trying to be good? I do want to end the video on this note. I think a good person, someone with a good heart, isn't always perfect, but they are consciously aware of what they do. And the beauty of life is that your guilty conscience will creep up on you, it will catch you off guard. And a lot of people turn their guilty conscience into apologies. They use it as leverage to find an opportunity to apologize to the people that they've hurt before. And I think that in itself is another sign of potentially having a good heart. With that being said, I do want to say that someone with a good heart will never use their wounds as an excuse to hurt other people. And someone with a good heart will support people that have hurt them, even from a distance. And lastly, someone with a good heart will never take their pain or the injustices that they've seen and turn them into a reason to be cruel to the world around them.